This is the Outliers Edge podcast, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity by taking them to the edge of their comfort zone so that they can lead us to the edge of what's next. I'm your host, Niiamah Ashong. Let's do this. Hello there. Niiamah Ashong here, and hey, Carolina. We're in here for an amazing treat. I'm the founder of Outliers Edge, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the future of our world. And we champion them by helping them shape the future of their world. And that distinction has actually been really lovely for me, because it's like we have the our world or the world, and it can feel like really big. It can feel like I'm a small drop in a vast ocean of change that's necessary. And I have found that what has really helped myself, because I'm also one of these leaders, I am an outlier, but also the clients I work with, like, just get into a place where we can get momentum and keep moving forward, is to change the scope sometimes from looking at the world to our world, or their world in particular. So my invitation here is we're going to have a conversation. I'm here with an amazing outlier and world shaper. Her name's Carolina Migliaccio. And like, while we're talking here, we might be talking about things that really span an element of impact. And as we're having this conversation, my invitation for you is to listen to this with a sense of understanding about the impact you're having in your world, the impact you're having with your next conversation, the people that you're impacting or you come across in your daily life, and that bigger thing that's inside of you that is looking to come out next. So we'll play with all this here. And some of y'all that are already playing a big game here will be like, oh, okay, yeah, hey, Carolina, I see you, I recognize you. Like, let's go ahead and play. Carolina, it's wonderful to be in conversation with you here. It's good to have you. Thanks for saying yes to this invitation.
Well, thank you for asking me,
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was cool. Like, when you said yes, I could feel like my shoulders were like, yeah, like just like I feel different things in my body, and I'm like, this is what happened. I was like, all right, cool. Carolyn, I'd like to start off these conversations. I'm actually feeling pretty grounded and connected with you from where we're going, but I do like to make sure that I remind myself of the person who's right here in front of me before we get into anything else here. So would you mind if I share a little bit about who you are to me right now?
Not at all.
Okay, awesome. It's fun because I'm like, I never know what I'm going to say here. Okay, here goes the truth here. Carolina, you're one of the people who like quietly intimidates me, and it's really quite interesting. The part of the reason for this here is that I like, not only do I feel like you do big things out in the world, but I feel like in our interactions, you're able to have me meet you without being rocked. There's a solidity to you that can be felt, and it has a different kind of presence than what I feel with others here. The other part about it that shows up for me is that you're able to do it in a way that has your own, what I'll call, joy. Like, you have an amazing laugh, you have a great smile, you bring a positive like feel to, like, there's a positive twinge to everything. It's almost like your flavor, your salt bay is like has that in it, and yet at the same time, like, the toolkit around you, the way like your access to things is anything but one dimensional. And so when as I see you here, and I like get into space and just think about you and the conversation we're going to have, all I know is like, it's like there's a lot of deep love that comes out from me here. Thank you for being someone that like rattles me enough to like be able to come and say, like, to say that out loud. That's part of me also just processing through that, so I don't get into a place of creating something that isn't real. And then we can just meet each other as peers on an amazing and epic quest with each other. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Like, you're important to me, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation.
Thank you. And I'm glad we're having this conversation too. I am.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah. So at this point here, I've gotten in touch. I shared who you are to me with everyone, but I want to give you a chance to like share a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you, like, personally, professionally, whatever you want to bring in, again, like with or without titles. We want to make sure we get a chance to see you, and we'll continue on from there.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is whenever someone asks me, who are you? What do I do? I take this like momentary pause, and I actually do get off kilter, because it makes me feel uncomfortable for whatever reason. But for me, I'm about humanity mattering. And that's actually a really interesting idea for me, because I don't think I would have said that when I was in my corporate career. No, I wouldn't have said it. I am a heart-led leader. And at one time, that was something that I was so not only disconnected from, but also not accepting of, because in the world in which I was living. And so me today is leading from my heart, always leading from my heart. Because if I don't feel passionate, I don't feel joy about it, nothing really matters. And you don't show up as your best. And so I believe in showing up in our best and in our authenticity. And so, yeah, that's part of being an outlier. But that's the beauty of being an outlier, because you're not like anybody else. And when you walk into the room, people see you differently, which shouldn't necessarily be an odd term, but for some reason it still has that awkward cachet to it, right? You're different. And maybe it's the baggage that I carry from as a kid. It's like, you're always different. But I like being my authentic self. And so that is who I am. And what I do is I want to help people step into emotional freedom, their emotional freedom, because I believe too many of us are shackled by things that scare us, things that we're afraid of, things that we're not comfortable talking about or being or saying. And so that's the impact that I want to make in the world. No titles, no nothing.
Yeah, let's keep playing with this here. Let's keep playing with this here. One of the things, you gave me a gift right now. You may not have known that you were doing it, but you talked about like you are about humanity mattering. Just a little bit ago, I introduced Outliers Edge, and I said like where we champion the leaders who are shaping the future of our world. And I went to this hour there, your kind of thing. Well, part of the reason why that happened was because I only recently started saying that. Beforehand, I was saying the truth, which is Outliers Edge, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity. And yeah, so it's fun for me in that, because I like, let me make the language more accessible. And like maybe the second or third time that I've gone by and stopped saying shaping the next era of humanity, you walk in the door and you're like, by the way, I'm all about humanity mattering. Like, and I'm like, did I just take away, like, it's just a really nice like juxtaposition right there from, well, there's a couple different things. One, can I honor humanity mattering by putting it straight into the title, all right, into our tagline, next era of humanity? It's just by saying it, does that help that matter more, right? One. And then I think the other part of it that's also really lovely is just like, I'm like, oh, how do I say it? It's not lip service when I say you're an outlier this way, right? You're like, this is literally what I'm about. This is literally what I'm doing. And one of the paths that I'm doing is helping people step into their emotional freedom. But like, ultimately, I'm about this.
Yeah.
That's really fun for me. I like being able to start here. Let's have a heart-led conversation. If at any point in this conversation, passion and joy aren't living for you, just call it out. Like we can adjust as necessary. I think that's really important for me, for us to be in that place of just living the example of a world where people are in their emotional freedom, right? So
yeah, unless we're at that threshold of getting to the next level. And that's where discomfort is. And so let's just be mindful of, so one, I'm appreciative of living into the joy, living into being, all about the heart, but also being mindful that there are times where we can have a conversation and we could be a little uncomfortable, but it's that discomfort that gets us to the next level. And we should be able to embrace it, but also be able to discern the difference between the threshold and the fear that's holding us back. Those are two very different things.
So let's talk a little bit about that as we get into this year. Like we'll get, I want to make sure that we can see that difference clearly, or as clearly as we can. And it might be that we talk about it. It might be that we go through stories. So like, actually that probably may be actually pretty helpful here. Cause I do, yeah, let's start there. So that threshold between the difference between the threshold and the fear of it. Can you share a story from you and your own experience, either with you or a client, like where like that threshold or that distinction became like really apparent to you? I'd love to like kind of hear that.
I have one that's near and dear to my heart that probably after people say this, they'll be like, girlfriend, you got to just get over it. I have been counseled, encouraged over and over again. People need to see you. I love to write. The pen has always been my voice. I'm good doing things like this, but to show up by yourself to do a live or do a video and talk to the thing, like the energy thing just doesn't work for me. So I never did it. And I have been counseled of people need to see you, right? You need to go do more of that. And I keep going. So my threshold of fear and discomfort is not allowing me to get to the next level.
Thank you for that. Thanks for bringing that in here. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. And like, and to the extent that you want to play with that in this conversation, let me know, because I get it. So as you were saying, what was coming up for me was like the way that you described being seen actually felt like I make a lot of videos. Like I'm like constantly on videos, I'm constantly recording. Yeah. So like there's times with me holding my camera up and just speaking in front of it like this. There's times with me like looking at the camera right here. There's times of me going live, and there's a lot of that is just boring at times, you know. So
boring for you or boring for them?
Boring for me. And thus, because of that, I imagine that it translates as boring. I sometimes have I have a lot of fun with it, you know, but there's a reason why there's only thousands and not tens of thousands of me of videos out there. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like it comes easy, but it's not actually like this right here. What we're doing right here is more nourishing to the soul.
It is, and that's the other thing I find when someone's not out there.
Yeah.
I actually can't have a coherent conversation with myself. I have these massive pauses. I stumble over my words. All of a sudden, I can't think clearly, which is bizarre. But that's what happens to me because this lack of frequency.
Yep.
And it is nourishment, right? Because it's like we're having a conversation, and relationships are really important to me. And for it to be one-dimensional,
it is. Yeah. Look, I for me, I need feedback loops, and like I am someone who consistently is in response to my world, you know. And so when I'm not getting any inputs in, it's not that I'm running out of ideas. It's that I actually have too many ideas that don't have, there's no funnel, there's no filter for it. Yeah. It's like all the ideas can live. Like idea number 1 and idea number 1,026 are equally good because there's no context in the mix. It's all just a variable in my mind, you know? And it's like, but when there's a person, or when there's some kind of filter there, and usually the person is the one that gets me, like person or persons, you know, multiple people, like that starts filtering things tremendously, and allows it to be something important for me, you know. I'm thinking about some of the reasons why I choose to go live. Some of the reasons I choose to go live is because I'm like, if I go live, the filter is that time frame. Like I can't go back and edit it. It's already done. What I said has been done. So whatever I said at that moment exists for that moment, you know? So I feel you when you say it. It's like what's coming to you as I say this. Yeah, I rarely get to talk about like the actual behind the scenes of like what's being created and what's going on through the mind, because people see me and they're like, oh, that must be supernatural for you, and it is, but it isn't always super pleasant.
Yeah, which I would never know that, right? So that's actually, nice to know. But I think the other thing is because it's live and it's there and it's done.
Yep. Oh yeah.
There's also the voice in the back of my head that says, was it really good enough? Was it okay? I don't know what people think, right? And even though all of those things I've kind of put over there,
yeah,
and not worried about, I still worry about, right? They still crawl into your mind, and you have to shoo them away, but they keep crawling in.
Yeah. What are the things? Do you mind that I'm sharing my experience of this with you here?
No,
like, is that good with you?
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, like because it's funny because when you say it, I started smiling. I felt like my face was smiling because I'm like, and I think I said this to you right before we hit record. I'm like, whenever I try and teach something, it feels like it gets the thing gets like changed, and when I'm just like in conversation or allowing for things to happen, it just like naturally evolves. Yeah, with something like it came up to you and felt.
Yeah, because when we push, right?
Yes.
When we push,
Yes.
the law of attraction, the law of abundance, we can't push into it. We actually have to release and surrender, because the more we try, the worse it gets. It's, the most simple example would be, the guy that you really like, but you keep pushing, you keep holding on, you hold tighter, and the tighter you call, the more he runs, is because you're actually repelling him, right? And so that applies even in this situation.
That's how I feel. Like one of the things that's been most freeing to me after doing this here has just been when I do get feedback, either whether it comes from comments, or usually the feedback that really comes through is I'll talk to someone a couple weeks later or a couple months later, and they're like, I watch all your videos, or I watch a lot of your videos, and when you say X, Y, and Z, this is what I got from it, this is what speaks to me. And I'm literally like, that out of all the, like, that's what came to you? Like I was talking about X, but you got empowered by Y. And what I think it's one of the most freeing things that's ever happened to me by going live, because I realized I'm like, oh, two things. One, it like what I think they'll learn, they rarely learn. And that might be a Niiamah thing, but like it's not whatever I'm trying to put out is not what they actually pick up. Sometimes it's just the fact that I've gone on and like people have seen me so much, they're like, who, like, if that guy can do it, and he's just like using it with whatever his webcam is, whatever his like speaker is, whatever, he's been doing this for years and keeps showing up, I could do it better. I know I could at least do it better, And I love I like a part of me loves being that person for people. Yeah. So that part really like rings out. There's another thing I'll say, but it looks like you have something first. I want to bring you in.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times when I have a piece of writing, yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, like this seems really trite or something, like just not. And those are usually the ones where people are like, oh, that was so good. And I'm like, do you know how long it took me to actually like said I was going to send it? Because I wasn't going to send it. I had all these conversations with myself. Yeah. And so I think the message for both of us is, one, have an intention of what you want people to take away from it, but also be open to receive other messages that come through, because that's the gift, right? That's the gift to them. That's the gift to you.
I love it. Let's keep playing. We're playing a lot of different directions here. I love that you brought in that you're like, look, I write. I like, as a creator, that's there for you. You're like, there's something like what it's like to create and put your own things out there. It's just something else around the being this part of the out there with you. The video out there, I like this because I think about what's going through my mind just, so I'm thinking about like the outliers that I know that will be in conversation, and they'll bring in something like this, like a brand new thing, quote unquote, which is actually quite similar to another thing, just in a different modality or different format.
Yeah.
Right. So as you said that last one, I was like, oh yeah, like it's not like she hasn't put her thoughts out into the world. It's not like she's doing that.
But I do it, right? I do it with the pen. I've always done it with the pen because as a kid, I had trouble expressing myself. So the pen became the way for me to do it.
Yes.
And I've just carried that throughout my life because for some reason, a lot of times as a kid, there was a synapses between here and like actually getting it out of my mouth.
Yeah.
High introvert, really shy.
Yeah.
But then never really learned the skills until I got into corporate, and it was either you learn to or you don't survive. And so I learned to, but it's not my default.
I got you.
My default has always been the pen.
Got you. And if because I as you're saying these things, I'm thinking about like outliers out there who've been asked to play outside of their default over and over and over and over again.
And it's hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. Yeah. Like I'm asking this question so I recognize right now that like I'm really curious because you did talk about the edge. I'm really curious about this. I'm also actively trying not to coach. So like just know that that's in space here. So I'm curious because I'm like, how are you like navigating this?
Navigating the being seen.
Yep.
So my preference is to be doing podcasts.
Yep.
Right. My preference is to be doing things with someone rather than me alone.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, I think the conversation is much richer. Two, it's also a way to be seen, right? You don't have to do lives. The question is, maybe I need to be more active in getting on podcasts and doing those things, right? That's probably something that I do need to do. So that would be the edge to answer and address the people need to see you.
Yeah. I mean, look, my thing is that there's so many different ways to be seen. I like that's what's going on through my mind. So like when you're talking right now, what's going like I have some of the work I do, it just feels like it's in like the category of like blazing your trail. Like what I get about you, Caroline, it's like you're authentic. You know yourself. You've chosen to live life as you in many different ways. And now you're at a place where you're like, all right, I'm actually here. I'm making a bigger impact in the world. I know that I'm about something larger. And what's the pathway for me to go and make that larger impact? I'm hearing this here. And part of the reason why I'm asking some of the questions I am in exploration is because like I'm hearing it's like you have your typical path, which is working well for you. And the way you describe like other people say you need to be seen. And if I'm also getting that, it's like, and the way that you're being seen is like, oh, I guess I have to do live. Just like from my side of things, I'm like, oh my goodness, I would love to play so much with like what being seen actually like looks like for you. Like, is it just your signature? Like, is it just like you're like I see this wonderful art behind you, and I'm like, is that your work? Like,
actually, it's one of my friends' work. However, I am a designer and a weaver. So if you go up in my living room, you have all stuff from me. So and I think the reason of being seen is to get the flavor of people, right? You don't get the animation, right? Because clearly I'm animated. Right. I know I am, right? You don't get that. You don't get the inflection. Yeah. You don't get the energy. Like I get that. I get that. But when I'm doing a video, just like a video, you don't really get it.
Yeah. Okay. After this, let's talk a little bit more. Like there may be some people I can connect you with on from a podcasting side of things. I'm doing something where I have someone right now who is absolutely amazing. And one of the things that I get caught up is in my thought leadership. I can express things, but it's not always organized. There's a lot that needs to get unpacked. And then once it's unpacked, then you have to actually put it away. You have to put it into the drawers and everything, right? It's like, let's unpack it. It's like, okay, great. Now it's out here. Now what? So one of the things that I got inspired from another podcast where someone actually, it was their own podcast, but they had someone consistently like interview them. They're like, here goes a topic, here goes a theme. You talked about this in your work. You said it was important to you. Like, tell me more about this. And I love it because the person can just walk in. It's like, and just be asked questions about what it is that they know that they may not have been able to organize or be able to get out of them at that time yet. And it really plays itself out well. So yeah, let's just talk after this here in terms of like some of the practical things here. But I appreciate you like bringing in the edge for you, like in our conversation. I appreciate you bringing that into the space because I think about the components of being someone who's really accomplished in your career, someone who does take on things that is already shown up from a place of leadership in various ways, and is looking to see like what might the next level of impact be, where might that go. I just really appreciate you just like being willing to be in this part of the conversation, exploring a little bit of it, talking about like how it actually feels and like where you're running up against walls and things with it, because I think that's what actually happens. That's like the every Google. That's why I don't read like Google, like I can't just like Google whatever comes at the top of my SEO, because they're writing for like someone who I guess has never experienced a setback in their life. They're like, just do this. And I'm like, that's not how it, like, whenever I take on something that matters, if I need to Google it, it probably matters. And I don't have enough like of the resources, like it's not real enough for me to make it happen. So I just really appreciate you. Thank you for dancing a little bit with me on that here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when I developed the mission of impacting 100 million lives, I was like, wow, this is cool, right? 100 million lives to emotional freedom. And then I went, okay, how? How? I don't know how. But the interesting thing was, I have a lot of tools in my toolbox, right? So it's like, what tools can you leverage out of your toolbox? It's like, well, I have lived my life not as my authentic self. I have lived my life technically fearful of. So that actually gave me the impetus to, well, write a book, right? Start writing a book. And as I started to write it, and I've gotten help from ex-publishers. I've actually got a publishing company help me with the outline, and editors helping me with it. So there's people who are helping me structure it, which has been really helpful, because to do it alone, I'd be in the spin cycle. And as much as people write their own books, to your point of, you have all these ideas, but to really structure it so it's meaningful to people and to get the ideas flushed out, the gift of writing a proposal and working with someone about it, Rochelle has really helped me with that. And then being able to go to a publisher and work with an editor so that you can refine the writing has really helped with that. And at the same time, as you go through all that, right, you're like, oh, I have all the people to help me structure it. Great. I have all the ideas. Great. And as I start to write the chapters, I go, oh, I don't want to talk about this. Well, if you don't want to talk about it, how are you going to help people? So there's that friction that comes up of, I don't really want to talk about it. And so there's one chapter in the book that from the very beginning, I struggled with. And basically it's about obligation and, oh my God, I'm losing it. It's basically, you grow up and you have all these obligations. And as you go through life, are you taking those obligations because you should, because you want to, or because you're afraid? And what are those things that have shaped your life as you go through, right? So then you're bringing all the familial stories. And that was really hard for me, because there's a part inside that, yes, I want to share, but at the same time, never air your dirty laundry. And so there was this navigation of how do I work through it? And I have to say, it's one chapter that's still, I think 3-4 rounds later, I kind of go, not where I want it to be. And so my editor had said to me, is this a chapter that you want in the book? Right? We kind of got to this place of, is it worth being in the book? And I said, yeah, it really is. Yeah, it really is. And so my job now is, how do you dig really deep to bring it out? Because it matters. It matters. It's about putting your own feelings aside for the betterment of society. And that's where I say to myself, well, 5 years ago, I would have not been in this place to say humanity matters.
Can I ask you a quick question around this here? Because
Yeah.
it's so your timing on this is impeccable, by the way.
Things happen for reasons.
Yeah, I literally got some I'll call them manuscripts from an author I really respect, who sent me some work. The premise was like, this is raw, this is real, like it's like just know, like, nothing's being held back in this, you know. And I got a chance to read it, and I will say something in me really shifted. A lot of it for me was like, I just wish I could express myself in this way. I wish I could like capture, like be free enough to say what is really on my mind, and to be in tune enough, or like courageous enough to like be in the minutia of every single agonizing moment, you know, or on the other side, like the agony of pleasure, right? So like everything, like to be in the minutia of the pleasure, rather than just letting myself kind of like have it wash over me, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's like the difference between the story and like being in the story, talking about a story, and then like being in it, you know. So literally about 3 hours ago, I read through an excerpt of the manuscript, and I was like, and it just like hit me like woof. And then now we're talking here, and you're talking about that place about like, how do you dig really deep and such, and like my heart right now is just like completely open to you, in the sense of like please just please allow it to come through, because like it is, I can feel that like on the other side of this would be just like impact and life change, and it's just for you and for the people who read it, because like when it, like, at least to me, it feels like it's one of those chapters that's not like intellectually hard to write, but it's like emotionally,
yeah.
right? It is the chapter on emotional freedom that's not about emotional freedom, that is the emotional freedom in and of itself. It almost feels like it's like that is the experience of emotional freedom through writing that chapter. I might be adding too much to this thing, so let me know, like correct me.
No, the interesting thing is, you said to, you know, being in it, and the number one principle that I have with the work that I do with my clients is, you have to be in it. That's like the first module we talk about. You have to be in it. You have to feel. Right? Because so many of us, the reason that we aren't free is we don't want to talk about it, and we stuff everything down, and we become so disconnected. And I was for a really long time, like it was just easier. Like I didn't feel, which is, you know, when I think about that, I am such a feeling person that I literally closed off all those receptors, and I was like, nothing bothered me. Nothing bothered me. But that's not being free. That's just being a vessel. That's just being, you know, going to work, get shit done. That's not living. And in living, we have to feel. We have to feel the good. We have to feel the bad. And in walking through the bad and feeling the bad is how we heal. We can't heal if we don't feel, right? The lowest, when you get to freedom, right, there's 5 stages. The bottom is apathy. I don't feel a thing. And people are like, I'm fine. I don't feel. It's like, it's good. I'm fine. But actually you're not. You were in the worst place you can possibly feel. When you feel anger, you are right before getting to freedom, because you've got to feel that anger. You've got to feel that charge, release that charge so that it doesn't have any effect on you. But we've been taught that we can't get angry. But we're allowed to feel angry and acknowledge it.
I'm deeply like curious about so many things, Carolina. We ended up starting the conversation late because of something on my end. We're at the top of our hour in terms of our allotted time here. Do you have a few more minutes just so we can wrap this up? Like kind of.
I'm good.
Okay. And for me, all this like lives in the video. People will see us like navigating this and being here in real time. Because I do, like you said, you have to be in it. And I'm like, I can say be real, and then but I cut out the parts of me being real. It's like that. It's like I messed up. I came late, and it shortened our conversation. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to do like a part 2, because there's things here around emotional freedom that I just really want to dive into. Actually, I really want to get some time to like see, like, how do you look at emotional freedom? What does that look like? What does that represent? How do we keep ourselves from it, and such? So I do want to create space for that. Would you be open to? You have to commit, but would you be open to a part 2 of this where we can do something? Okay. So we can make that happen then, right?
Okay.
The other thing that really strikes me is like, you're like, because it matters. And you talk about humanity matters, and you're like, I really want to keep this chapter in because it matters. And when you say it matters, it is not something that like it's funny because it was juxtaposed with, I have a chapter on obligation, and then you talked about this thing like, because it matters. And in my mind, I was like, are they the same thing? Are they different? I was like, I got really curious about like what happens, what changes when the thing is coming from a place of it matters versus being obligated, and like, does the mattering lead to an obligation or not? And so like, I would really want to, I get really curious about that. I would love to explore that with you. But it's like for you in particular, you are the person that like, when you like, at least in this conversation, every time you say that it matters, like, you're like, humanity matters, like I get so deeply curious about like the Carolina that didn't honor when things mattered before,
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was that person on the hamster wheel.
Yep.
To success.
Yes.
And because I should.
Mm-hmm.
I was shown a path.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shown a path that, God love my parents, that was the only path they knew, but they wanted better for me.
Yes.
Right? They wanted me to be successful. They wanted grander things for me. But what happened was, I'm wired differently. I'm heart-centered, not head-centered. And so doing things because I should goes against how I feel when they're not aligned. Right? So being in an environment where everything's so buttoned up, being in an environment where you can't be your vivacious and flailing, colorful self, being in an environment where you have to know when to shush and know your place is really hard for me, right? Because that's not who I am. And so you put yourself in a little box and you start to behave that way. And the more that you do it, it's at an expense of other things. And so the expense of other things became, I didn't feel, I was driven at all costs, success mattered, and all of those other things fell to the wayside. Because I didn't know how to navigate and have both. Because in the world in which I was living, it didn't have both. As a matter of fact, the touchy-feely, the crazy creative was not accepted. And so do you want to push a battle that you're never going to win, or do you want to be successful? Well, yeah, I want to be successful, because if I'm not this, then I'm a failure. And so I got really great at being successful, but I also got really great about being detached from who I was.
So there's an element of me here that like almost wants to leave that as almost like a teaser for the part 2 of the conversation. Yeah. If you're really good with it, because like, because in these conversations, I do want to make sure I take the time to just see you, you know, and what I feel is I'm like, okay, now I really want to get to know. I've done things in the past where I've only talked about like the external part, like your methodology or what like there, like in the past, a couple of years ago, we would have been like, so tell me more about emotional freedom right off the bat. And I would have missed you. I would have missed the challenges of like what it actually took to be in it with you, right? Because I really respect you right now. My heart is just super wide because I'm like, oh, she's a practitioner. Like there's still emotional freedom that you're going through, and like being a practitioner as well as being an expert. Those are the people I respect the most. Versus like, because that's where the edge lies, and you know, and I have to say to you, I'm really appreciative of you in this conversation because like I played more on my edge in this. I'm like you literally hear me. I'm like, I want to go here. I'm not sure how to do it without I want to ask the questions, you know. And so like to me but that's the part that is valuable. I can read about how everyone has figured it all out at a certain point, and it never captures the squishiness, the messiness, the time before. We're gonna do a book launch for you when this book comes out, and like we're gonna put all of our energy behind Outliers Edge toward like doing our part to help make that successful. And people are just gonna read that chapter and be like, that was a good chapter. Like, do you even know? Do you even know what it took? You know? And so I'm really grateful, and I'm glad we got a chance to honor the reality of what it takes, of what it takes to keep doing this, and the various ways that it might show up, and how you let us see how it's showing up in you, and led us from that place rather than leading from like, here goes the matters of the technical matters behind what it is that that I know. In our next conversation, there's still a lot of interesting things in there that I do want to get into around that. But I feel really honored in integrity and feel good about playing on the edge of this with you. Thanks for joining me. I said I want to play on the edge. I'm like, I'm not necessarily sure how it would be. Thanks for joining me. Let's make sure we honor that by continuing this conversation here. Sound good to you?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. So then we're going to close off with 2 things. So first, Carolina, if someone wanted to continue the conversation with you, if someone's looking to a place where they're like, I have something that matters to me, and I'm looking to make sure I need emotional freedom to go forth, or I'm feeling like the way you were describing creating success in your role is how I feel and such. If someone wanted to deepen that conversation with you or continue down the conversation with you, what's the best way that they can do that?
I would say the easiest way is to send me an email, Carolina@soulfulmoxie.com, and in the subject, put Outliers, because I'll know that's where you found us. And then, you can find me on social media. I actually say that. Lots of writing.
Awesome. And all like, please, my Outliers out there who love writing and love to read, because there's a lot of us that like read everything. My invitation is read everything she's ever put out there. Yeah. Like take the time to like really beat her in like what I would say your natural habitat. You can go play other things, but that feels like they're like, this is me.
That's my natural. It is my natural habitat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, read everything, and that sounds absolutely wonderful. And it's so funny because I'm gonna go read it. I can imagine already. I'm like, oh crap, I cannot write. I already hear my own stories. I haven't even looked at it yet. So thanks for opening that up in me. Now I'm like, oh, I have to go check it out, because I'm sitting here in the middle of talking to you, and I'm like anxious about reading it. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. I gotta go there. Thank you for the power that is you. This is some of the gift that you give here and just being in space. Carolina, I like to end these conversations from the standpoint of leaving I call it a time capsule. Right now, you've lived your life. You have a lot of wisdom in this moment, right? You've been leading from the heart, and you get you. There may be a time in the future, not so distant or in a very distant future, where you're like, there's something that right now you might forget. So I'd love for you to just like leave a message to yourself. This is just for you here. Like, what's the message you would love to leave to yourself? And then we'll wrap up the conversation from there.
You matter.
And so it is.
sometimes I need to be reminded of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure here today. I'm looking forward to part 2 of this year. Thanks for trusting me and thanks for going along.
Thank you.
All right.
We're just getting started. Take 10 seconds to think about your greatest insight from today's conversation. And if you're ready to go and bring this to a deeper, more applicable level for you, come and join us in an upcoming masterclass. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass to be coached live and to bring your aspirations, your goals, and your challenges and have them handled in real time. This is high flame, high impact, high transformation. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass and come experience your next level of leadership.